Nate, you want to hit the go? Oh,
Yep, you're live.
there we are. Oh, we're live, people. All right. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us around the world. My name is Tisha. I'm one of the hosts with Casual Convo Friday, along with my better half, Nate Flood out of Rome, Georgia. We met through LinkedIn and decided, hey, why not start a live stream together? So this is our COVID experiment. This is our project. Today, we have the pleasure of introducing you to this kick-ass woman. This is Dhairya Gangwani. She really does have a lot going on. She's a career coach. She's a podcaster. She has a talk show. She helps people build their resumes, get that job, that dream job. She's doing a lot. And I have the pleasure of introducing her because this is a girl that asked me to be on her very, very, very first podcast. So episode 1, if you go back to her podcast, I got to be the gal that she interviewed. So I have a special place in my heart for her and wanted her on our show. And she's joining us from out of India. And it is 11 o'clock there, right? 11 at night.
Yeah.
Yes. Trooper. It's such a trooper. People that can stay up and do this, I applaud you. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. And just some quick housekeeping announcements. If you're tuning in live on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook, you can always chime in on the comments and always watch the replay. We always go back and check those things. I'm going to turn it over to Nate so that he can start with our first question. And again, if you have questions, let us know. That's what we're here to talk about. Today, we're diving into personal branding and networking in the digital era. And so this is going to be a fun topic, especially in the circumstances that we're in. How do we still keep building our businesses digitally? So Dhairya, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much, Tisha, for the lovely introduction. And I have a special place in my heart for you as well because I was so nervous and you were my first guest. And as I said, it's so overwhelming to be here. I'm just looking forward to an amazing, insightful, and fun conversation with you and Nate.
Would you guys agree you always remember your first? Everything. We're not talking about that, but I did a convo last week in my car, and I talked about that. You always remember your first. So this is the first. Yeah, you do.
They always hold a special place in your heart.
Yeah, they hold a special place in your heart. All right, Nate, first question.
I don't know about y'all, but you normally remember it because of how bad it goes. Just say it.
Okay, so let's talk about that. It can be a negative experience, yes, but I look at it as you're going to learn. Like your first one, there's a lot to learn and you can only get better.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just saying it's more of like a reflective thing. You get to look back on where you started and see how far you come, you know?
Yes.
But it also allows you to make fun of yourself for a brief moment, you know? It just happens.
Yeah. You have to. I make fun of myself all the time.
Oh yeah, totally. All right. Well, thank you for coming on, and I'll get started with the questions here. So, we're talking earlier about how you're a career coach and you're a podcaster. You got your own little show and everything. So obviously, you know a lot about personal branding. But let's talk a little bit about like how people can actually use personal branding. I think everybody gets what it is per se in terms of the overarching of what it is, but like let's talk about how you can actually use it to your advantage and how it's not just an entrepreneur thing to do. Like you can do it as a career person as well, working for someone else.
Right. Perfect. So I think that question makes a lot of sense because, as you said, what personal branding is as a term per se is understood by probably everybody. But how do you leverage it to utilize it in the right sense is something which people struggle with, I believe. So the first basic foreground, I guess, is that it's not just for entrepreneurs, just like you said. I think even a student right out of college, getting into their undergraduation or post graduation or getting into the corporate world today must have a personal brand because I believe that even when you look at job seekers today, it's not just a resume which you put out there in a system and you get shortlisted. It's also a lot of background check that they do on your social media, on your digital footprint, who you are as a brand, right? So I believe whether you're a job seeker, you're a student, a freelancer, or someone who runs his own business or a career coach, personal branding is a must today. And the reason why you need to go out and do it is because there's a fine line between showing off and telling people, this is what I can do. But personal branding is not showing off. It's letting people know and making them aware of things that you can help them out with. So if I don't tell people that I'm a career coach, no one's going to come to me and get their resume is built from me unless and until I let them know I'm competent enough to do it for them, or until and unless I don't have enough testimonials of people, my clients, who vouch for my work, my expertise, and skills, right? And that's a way in which I'm building my personal brand. So, what I believe is personal branding is more about winning trust and building a credible profile for yourself so that people start trusting you for your expertise in a particular domain. And the way to do that is to go out there and not shy away from putting your, uh, how do I put it? What people feel is that if I go out there and I say, you know what, I can help you with this and I can help you with that, I've done this or that, sometimes people feel maybe I'm bragging. And it may sound like that, but if I don't personally brand myself, Tisha is not going to do it for me. I have to do it for myself. Tisha will do it for herself. That's why it's called a personal brand, right? So, yeah, I think that's the reason. And the best way to propagate it is to just go out there and let people know more about yourself and your skills.
I want to jump in real quick because a friend just asked me. I'm going to give a shout out to Emmeline. She connected with me on LinkedIn and sent me this message today. And she's like, whoever's doing your social media personal branding is doing an amazing job. Like, please tell them thank you. And I just started laughing. I was like, it's me. It's me. She's like, you don't hire it out. I was like, no, I don't hire it out because nobody is you. Nobody doesn't like you. Nobody knows. Sorry, dog's barking. Nobody knows that about you. Like, your stories are your stories. It's really hard for you to tell somebody else, write it for me in this way because this is how I would say it. And I mean, I'll tell you, okay, Nate, like I hired someone to do social media for me. I hired several people and it was a failure because it wasn't personally branded to me. It was, here's an article from entrepreneur.com that I've never even read, but I'm going to share it with you. So it's very true what you're saying, Dhairya, about your personal brand is so important. And it's not just for entrepreneurs. It is for everybody because it's yours and it's yours forever. And how are you going to attract the opportunities to you without it?
True. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree with that. I'll be honest with you. When I first like left the army and stuff, and I started getting into things like web design and marketing and building businesses and stuff, I quickly learned I didn't want to do personal branding for people. Like that was one of the things I used to turn down because it's difficult, right? It's hard for me to be you. Like for one, I'm just not going to talk like most of you. I'm not going to write like most of you. I'm not going to say things about the same stuff. I can talk on the same subjects, but I'm always going to come at it from a different point of view. So it's just really difficult. And so I made sure after a few failed attempts at it that the thing for me to work for was let me do the voice of a business per se, but not the personal branding stuff. And so that cost us, having things with people like public speakers and stuff like that, but that's okay. We would do more harm than good. So coming up to that, when you're talking with people, because you're doing your career coach and stuff like that, and you're helping them do personal branding, either to grow the career or their business or whatever, what are some things that you do to help them get started? Like, because that's the hard thing is like getting started, coming up with a plan, figuring out how to do it, figuring out what medium is going to work for them. Because like, I'm not a Snapchat person at all. Like, that's just not me. LinkedIn I can do, but Snapchat, I don't have that type of content coming out. So like, when it comes to those types of things, talk us through that process you take people on.
Sure. So, as you said, every client or every person comes with a very different process. But I feel that the first initial steps are common to everybody. If I was to even talk to anybody on this planet, the first thing that I would ask you is, why do you want to create your personal brand? Because until and unless I don't have a solid answer to that, I cannot help you out and I cannot resonate to what your mission or your aim is. Because at the end of the day, you just don't get up one fine day and say, yeah, I want to build my personal brand. There are a lot of things that line up to letting you take that decision that, you know what, I'm going to work towards my personal brand. And it's not an overnight thing. You have to consistently keep at it. So I'm sure that when someone comes to somebody, they've come with a very strong mindset that, yes, this is what I want to do. So I want to understand, number one, why do you want to build a personal brand? What's your large vision or wider vision behind it? So I try to understand that. The second thing is to understand that now that I know what your why is, you also need to understand that when you're trying to create a personal brand, it needs to be narrowed down to a particular niche and an audience, a target audience, because you cannot cater to everybody. Obviously, it's better in the beginning to cater to the masses so that you're more relatable per se. However, in the end, you can only create a personal brand for yourself if you're able to stand out from the crowd. And you do that when you pick out a niche or a domain for yourself. So if Nate's into marketing, that's his niche. And if Tisha is talking about entrepreneurship, I'm dealing everything with careers, then we stand out as individuals in our personal branding field. Now, when the three of us are into marketing, the competition is more intense. It's going to be more difficult for people because you'll always have choices that I can go to him, her, or whatsoever. So it's very, have your niche and domain picked out very clearly. And I think the third thing in the generic step would be to understand and adapt to the audience. Because I always say this, that your personal brand is your own. However, it is made by your audience. So it's your own, but it's your audience who helps you reach there, right? If they don't like your content, if they don't help you build that community, you can't go there and, create the kind of influence you want to. So as long as you're listening to them and you repurpose and remold your content or whatever it is that you're providing according to what they want, then your personal brand will keep, increasing exponentially, or else it goes down the lane. So that's very important. So I tell them to always be agile and adaptable to changing according to the needs of your audience.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that people have a hard time. Even me, it took me years to kind of get dialed into where I wanted to go with branding, right? Like it's been an evolutionary process, even to a point where like we changed our business from marketing and stuff to building infrastructure because we listened to our audience. Everybody had problems with their infrastructure, and so therefore they couldn't do the marketing.
Yeah.
And so no, I'm 100% with you on that. Totally agree with that. Tish, you got anything you want to weigh in there?
Yeah, I agree with all of it. I mean, she's a smart cookie. Well, it's so true though, because what she's saying is right. And I always talk about this. Your brand will start to attract the right types of people your way, which then turns it into the community, which then turns it into your raving fans who then are searching for your content because they like it. Like I've had people say, right. I go to your profile because I like what you stand for. You've got this super positive, infectious energy, and I like it. Mm-hmm. So you start putting it out and people will start to tell you, I like this, more of this, please. I like this. And so you're getting cues from your audience of people who love you already. And that's, to me, my biggest thing is that's when your business starts to evolve. That's when you have more opportunities coming to you because you're dialed in to what your audience is looking for too. So I really like that you said that. Your personal brand is yours, but your personal brand is also for that audience that you're trying to attract.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Because I believe listening to your audience, again, being an active listener, because you are listening to what they are liking, as you said. As long as you keep doing what they're liking, you keep growing your community, right? Because whether it's on Instagram or any other platform, whether it's LinkedIn, any platform, as long as you listen to what they like Tisha said, because you'll get to know through their comments, you'll get to know through the content that they like, what's working, what's not working. So the metrics can be different to measure, but they'll always subtly let you know that they're liking this and they're not liking something else.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. I would say too, and Dhairya, you probably do a lot of this as well, but in your posts, asking questions. Like the last few posts I've put up, I've asked questions. I've shared a little bit of a story of mine, and then I've asked a question. And that has gotten so much engagement because I'm saying, hey, tell me what you think about this. Tell me what you would do differently. Like it's key. You're not just, I'm going to post it and forget about it and hope you like it. It's like, no, I want to start a conversation with you. And the best way to do that is to say, I'm listening. Here's a question, chime in and let's start the conversation. Hey, Luis Melendez, Mr. Groovy out of LA. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. Awesome. Good morning.
Okay. So next question here. When you have people that you're starting out with, whether they're coming out of college or they're changing careers, whatever the case may be, everybody's got the same kind of fear, right? Like what happens when I fall flat on my face? People don't watch or they don't look at my stuff. They don't comment on my things. I remember spending countless posts for myself and other people where nothing happens. You just keep going, you try different things.
Yeah.
How much importance, because I know me personally, I found that the best way to kind of boost that was through networking. How much, case in point, Miss Tisha here, my stuff has grown a lot more, and I've gotten out of my bubble by working with her, for the past year.
Aw, thank you.
Shameless plug.
Shameless
So
plug.
talk to us about how networking can play a pivotal role in expanding that personal brand of yours, because I don't think a lot of people leverage it the way that they should.
I totally agree. I think networking is something which is undermined a lot, especially until the lockdown and the pandemic crisis happened here, at least in India. Trust me, people, I mean, I'm not saying that people didn't network at all. However, like you said, they don't leverage it enough to probably utilize it to build their personal brand. So, when you're talking about building a personal brand on any social media platform per se, if it's LinkedIn, if it's Twitter, if it's Snapchat, it's Instagram, the one key thing is to have like-minded people added in your network, because you just go to think about it logically. If I'm putting a reel out there on Instagram, or I'm posting a carousel post or anything on Instagram, or as a poster, let's say I'm posting a video post here, sharing a story of mine on LinkedIn, the first few set of people who are going to see that post are going to be people who are my connections. That's what the algorithm works like. So uh, LinkedIn will show it to, let's say, about 100 connections of mine. Similarly, Instagram will show it to a first, let's say, 10% of my audience, whoever XYZ number of followers I have. Now, if they itself cannot resonate, those 10% of people who are following me cannot resonate with my content, then it decreases the reach of your post and does not show it to the later half or the wider audience. So, what that truly reflects is you need to be very picky with the kind of people you add onto your network,
Yeah.
whether it's your connections on LinkedIn, whether it's followers on Instagram, provided it's not just another account. You're actually trying to add value and build a personal brand there. Then you have to be very conscious. You cannot just hit left, right, and center and send requests to everybody and accept every request. You have to be very cautious. So, as a simple example, I've got about 2,500 requests pending on my LinkedIn. It's not like I'd like to give in the number and just not accept them. It's not like I would love to do it. However, I have to think about adding value to my network. So if people don't take out the time to send me a personalized connection request to tell me why they're connecting with me, what do we have in common, or why would they like to connect to my network, I don't think that it's worthy enough to add somebody in your network, because in the end, you're adding value to each other. I'm not just here to scroll through posts, right? So
Mhm.
the crux of the matter is networking is very pivotal, because they are the people who are ultimately going to, if not determine, but they're going to propagate how well your brand builds, because they're the first set of people who will be giving it that engagement or boost. And that's the fact on any platform. So make sure you have a rich quality network. Don't focus on the numbers. Focus on the quality is what I would say.
Ooh, preach it. I like
Yep.
that. I don't
I
know
was,
about you, Nate. I don't always accept everybody. Like I'd rather be a little bit pickier and selective.
yeah, I mean, I generally I follow what she's saying about it needs to be like a personal invite, right, or some
Yeah.
type of personal message, or it's something at least close to where it's not just straight to the sales pitch, or just I'm just hitting connect button with everybody that pops up on LinkedIn, and I'm not really paying attention. So yeah, no, I'm totally with that, especially because and I'm nowhere near this number, but if I'm not mistaken, I think LinkedIn's capped how many connections you can have. Like you can have unlimited followers,
Yeah,
but you can only have like 30,000 connections or
Hmm.
something. I may have the
30,000.
number wrong, but
30,000. Yeah.
and that sounds like a big number for everybody. But like as LinkedIn has been growing, I've seen more and more people hit that number relatively easy that I've never heard of. So I mean, it's obviously it's not an impossible feat to hit. So you got to be responsible with those connections. I totally agree.
Right. And you'll see some people, if they've already hit that number, start to eliminate people off of their
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
following. So you'll start to maybe see that you were once first connections and now you're a second connection with them, because they're like, if I'm not really hearing from you or I'm not seeing much, then I'm going to have to let you go.
Right.
This
Yeah.
relationship is finito. No, it's not really, but it's like I have to make space for people that I could add value to their life too,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and
100%.
vice versa. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Well,
agree.
That kind of leads us into our next question. So our next question is how did people get started with the networking? Like, we understand how it's important. Now let's talk about how to get them out of those starting blocks and start that race of working on it. What are your suggestions to them? Because I know that's got to be a doomsday point for a lot of people where they don't get out and do it, and then they just say, well, I'm done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think again the focal point here is to understand that when I am into okay, professionally obviously I'm an analyst, but other than that, if I'm into career coaching, I'm also enthusiastic about startups and somebody who talks about everything related to management. So I am more likely to and my content is more likely to resonate with obviously students or people who are looking for a job change because they can relate to my career, but at the same time relate to my content, but at the same time, management enthusiasts or entrepreneurs or fellow career coaches or fellow entrepreneurs are also people who I tend to connect with, right? So the number one point is to understand what kind of content are you going to put out there and connect with people, especially in that niche. So about 80% of your connections should be of the niche you are from so that they can relate to your content and engage with it and you can build a community. The remaining 20% could be a mix of anybody. I could have lawyers, I could have doctors, I could have digital marketing practitioners. That's totally okay. I could have a mix of people, right? But 70 to 80% of that's my richer part of my network should be people who can resonate with my content. Now, when I do that, the next step to building your network is don't just hit the connect button and leave it. Or even if you're sending a personalized invite, don't just leave it there. So, what I've heard is and what I've studied is to being active on LinkedIn for about 9 months now is you need to build relationships here more than just connecting with people. So let's say
Mhm.
even if I connect with Tisha via personalized invite and she reads it and she acknowledges it and that's it, you're done. You so LinkedIn is not quite like that. It would like you to take the conversation further and build a relationship. It would want me to question back and ask Tisha how I could add value to her, if we could collaborate, if there was any way that we could probably hop onto a call. There's a reason there's a video call feature introduced right on your chat on LinkedIn where you can just
Mhm.
set up a video call meeting with people. So there is a reason they do these things. They want you to actually build meaningful connections, and all of that also goes into, building your LinkedIn profile score, right? So people don't really know that, but it pays a lot of attention. So I would say, focus on adding value even after connecting. So don't just leave your connections hanging out there, dry and with no clue as to what you can help them out with. At least have a brief introduction always ready as to what you can help them with or how you can come in handy to them, and then let them also do the same. And maybe you never know, people have found business partners over LinkedIn, people have found podcast hosts over LinkedIn just like you have. There's so many things
Mm-hmm.
where you collaborate, right? I found Tisha over LinkedIn. So I think that's the way you network. You find people and don't hesitate. I feel the key to networking is, I think a lot of people don't start networking because they hesitate to make that move to ask. So until unless you don't ask, you'll never receive.
There you
So
go.
I've heard this. So you need to do that.
Yeah. People getting afraid to ask. And
Yeah.
like you said, if you never know, you don't know what's going to happen. And even if it's a no, it's good
Yeah.
to say, okay, well, great. Then I'll find somebody, like somebody's out there that I can collaborate with. Luis has a
Right.
comment here, Nate, if you want to just put
Mm-hmm.
it up. He was talking about being selective because we were talking about, do you accept everybody that comes to your network? And he said, exactly. It's just business. I've been selective, keep it real and productive.
And
It's kind of like that question, like, would you rather have 1 million followers and you have nothing in common and you've never engaged with them, but they're just a number to you? Or would you rather have
right.
10,000 followers and they're really, really good? They respond, they engage, you have great connections. Like, I always look at it this way, like, Dhairya, if I ever go to India, we're definitely getting together. We're definitely going to see each other.
For
And
sure.
Nate, I've
For
said the same thing to Nate. Nate, when you fly me out to Rome, Georgia, we're definitely going to hang out and drink some sweet tea. But
Yeah,
that's what
that's
you
right.
got to
Yeah.
look at is you're not just building a connection online. You're building a connection for life. Like, these are people
Mm-hmm.
that you genuinely want to meet in person. Like, when you see each other,
Mhm.
I always feel like it's fireworks. Like, I get to see you, I get to talk to you, I get to stand face to face, and we get to have a conversation. Like, I get so excited about it when I get to meet people for the first time that I've been talking to online. It just makes that connection so much stronger.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I love meeting up with connections I've made. Like when I have to travel out to a job site or something like that, I love just being like, hey, I remember you're somewhere near here. Let's see if we can meet up. And we do. And it may be the first time. I mean, there's still tons of people I've been friends with for years. I've never even met face to face, but because we've networked a long time ago, we have conversations every single week and stuff like that. But I always try, like, anytime I'm traveling, like, all right, who's in this area?
I think that's actually a really great thing, Nate, and same thing with you too, Dhairya. Like, I would do the same thing. If I'm traveling to a city, I will absolutely put that on LinkedIn and say, hey, I'm going to be here. If you're here and we haven't yet met in person, let's hook up. And then you can write it off.
There you go.
I met my LinkedIn connection. That hotel stay at the Bellagio, it's written off.
Wow, somebody travels nice these days.
Actually, I'm not going to the Bellagio. Is the first thing that popped into my head. We're practical timeshare people, Nate. We're practical.
Okay. All right. Well, so we're coming up on our shameless plug time. It's that time for you to talk about yourself, talk about things you've got going on, and share a little bit more about like what you're doing personally and what you can offer people so that they can network with you, reach out and connect to you, and hopefully grow their network and grow yours as well. So I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about yourself now.
Sure. Thank you, Nate.
You're welcome.
Professionally, I work with KPMG in India as an SAP Analyst. And that it's been about 9 months that I stepped into the corporate world right out of college. Besides my full-time job, career coaching was something I started out during the pandemic in September 2020. So it was on LinkedIn that I received a lot of requests from a lot of students and working professionals because they were struggling with adapting to the new normal and understanding how they could, build a digital presence, ace their interviews, or get over their fear of public speaking and all the things related to careers. And that's when I decided to start my own initiative of Dhairya Decodes. I started off all alone, solo, and started taking individual mentoring sessions. Found out that it's not very sustainable, so I started doing workshops and I do individual sessions as per my schedule. I have a team now who works with me from November, so that's pretty amazing. There are a bunch of enthusiastic college students who have been helping me, and they're a part of my team for about 7 months now.
Okay.
So that's amazing. And that's how we started my Instagram page of Dhairya Decodes, and we're just planning on just, expanding it so that more people can get access to these free sessions and career guidance that I give on. And then, I started my career development talk series. That's been quite a thing because I finished 64 episodes. So I've called 64 different guests all across the globe, doing unconventional things other than just, your regular jobs, some unconventional careers. So that's helped a lot of students again. And very recently, I started my own podcast called Upskill with Dhairya. So there again, I'm giving out some nuggets on personal branding, on LinkedIn, on resumes, and everything that they need help with. And that's pretty much about what's going on. And I'm just planning to help as many people as possible.
I don't feel like you have enough going on.
I know. I was like, I feel like my head's gonna pop off. Okay, guys. Okay, let me dial this in for you. She works full time as an SAP analyst for KPMG in India, and she's a career coach, and she's a podcast, and she's a talk show, and she's a speaker, a keynote speaker, and she's tuning in live at 11 o'clock her time at night for this Casual Convo Friday. Like, girl, you need to give me like whatever sleeping method you have.
I have no cycle as such, but I think it's just like when you love doing things that you do, I think the time or anything else doesn't matter. I knew that I wanted to do this. Me and Tisha had been going over this for quite some time, and I wanted to make sure that, I come over here and we have a great conversation.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was good. I'm inspired. What about you, Nate? Are you like, I better jump up and start leveling up my game?
I feel like we probably spend just as much time working. I think my stuff is just a little bit more focused on one aspect, and she's got a lot. So, and that says a lot because I don't multitask. So,
yeah. No multitasking for Nate.
No, I do things in a list type of thing. You know, I'm knocking them out one at a time kind of deal. My wife
Yeah,
tells me all the time.
I actually want to say something that, Nate just said something. I think multitasking is not for everybody, and that's totally okay. And I genuinely feel that if I start doing things in a very systematic manner, trust me, it wouldn't work out for me because that's not my personality. And similarly, maybe for Nate, doing a couple of things at a time would be a mess. But for me, that's how I've been functioning right from college. So I need to have a couple of things on my plate for me to be productive and for honestly for me to just work because I've just been that way. I need to do a couple of things at one go so that I'm right on top of it. So I don't know. How is it for you, Tisha?
I'm the same way. Like I always have several projects going on. Not that I'm doing them all at the same time. Like, my mind's on the podcast, I'm here and I'm this. Like to me, the live stream, like if I'm doing this, which I do too, but like checking the comments and asking the questions and like getting the text set up, it's a little much. But I like having a variety of projects that I work on. I like that because I also do some personal branding too, Dhairya, but I love being able to pass projects on to my team and then bring in the next client and onboard them. Like that's what I get excited about because it's this collaborative environment that we have where we're able to work together for the end goal for that client. Like we are building their brand. So I get excited. Nate, you're probably like that too, where you take on a client and you're like, all right, let's get to work. Let's work the magic right now. And then you see all this progress. It's amazing. That's what I get a high off of.
I used to be until my newly appointed role. I don't get to do the fun stuff anymore. I'm just in sales and marketing now. I'm just trying to get the deals done, and I still do training though. I still do training. I still love training people. Until we find a training officer, that's something I'm going to keep doing is training users how to use the systems we put in place. So because we do that with Microsoft stuff all the time. I enjoy that. I enjoy seeing people grow and learn how to do things and make their days easier. So I'll always keep doing that. That's just kind of my last little thing I get to do other than sales calls all day.
Fun.
Oh yeah. But no, I mean, me, I'm I'm like a computer. It's first in, first out. And then while one process is kind of in limbo, I'll start the next one. And that's just how I work.
Yeah, I think it's whatever works for you. Like Dhairya likes to have a lot going on. You always are getting excited about the projects, and when I see your post, you're like, this is what I'm up to now. And I think it's awesome. I mean, it's to each their own, however you work. And like you said, if you are working and you don't feel like you're working, even better.
Absolutely. Well, I'm looking forward to having some conversations with you now that we're connected on LinkedIn, because I think we can talk about a lot of stuff we've got in common. So.
Sure, we should. I'm looking forward to it too.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, it is that time. Happy Friday to all of you. Dhairya, we're going to let you get off to bed because it's pretty late there. But thanks so much for being our special guest on Casual Convo Friday. And thanks to our guests who are watching this live or are catching the replay. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to Dhairya on LinkedIn. And Nate and I as well, if you want to get connected. So thanks so much, everybody. Have a fantastic weekend. We'll be back next Friday. See ya.
See y'all.
Thank you so much, Tisha and Nate. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Anytime.